We had a very interesting situation with our clearing fund in that it got very large due to some fairly crude risk estimates that were embedded in the process. We, through the financial safeguards framework, completely redesigned how the clearing fund operates. It's now based on a much more sophisticated set of stress tests for probable but extreme market changes. It is allowed us to return $3 billion of clearing member assets back to those clearing members, helping them with the capital efficiencies in the industry. At the same time, it allowed us to go from a so-called cover one methodology to a cover two methodology. We have some additional enhancements that we're in the process of making. We need to do a better job of accounting for so-called wrong way risk. We currently don't allow clearing members to put up their own collateral, securities which they have issued as margin, but we also now have to make sure we're taking in positions that into account in the wrong way risk calculation. We also need to enhance our idiosyncratic risk. So we tend to look at large moves to the entire market as a whole. We need to look at specific changes to valuations of particular securities and make sure there's not something that a small concentrated position might set off. Given the experience in the Nordics with the default there, that becomes even more important. And then the third phase is with respect to enhancing our liquidity stress testing. So we have very strong liquidity, and we've made a number of improvements to that over the course of 2018, going to a total of $6 billion of liquid assets available in the unlikely event of a default. But we need to enhance the way we do stress testing for liquidity to make sure we're taking in all of the different possibilities and assessing the requirements and the sizing and the composition of the clearing fund on that basis. What we've done, and we've put in place a half a penny a contract increase in fees in order to make sure that we not only have the right amount of capital, but we constantly have the right amount of liquid assets supported by equity to meet the regulatory requirements. What we want to do with the Renaissance project overall is get ourselves to a much more predictable level of fees so that the industry can depend on us as a reliable utility, but not a high-cost provider of service. And so we view this level of fees as being a transitory increase to make sure that we work ourselves through this particular period of time. But if you go back in history, if you look at the last time we actually rebuilt our clearing firm technology back in the early 2000s, our fees were actually significantly higher than they are today. So we are quite cognizant of the impact that fees have on the industry, and we're doing our best to be very good stewards of those investments that they make in paying those fees to allow us to remain in operation and have a credible level of capital. I think we have come a long way, but we're not where we need to be. OCC is a financial services market utility provider. We're in very many ways a technology firm, and women are just not sufficiently represented in those kind of firms anywhere in the industry. If you think about what financial services is all about, it's really about providing products to clients that enable them to manage risk and enhance their return on investments in order to do things with their lives that they value as important. To do that well, you have to be able to put yourself in the shoes of the investor. And that, to me, is really where diversity comes in. Through diversity, we can help ourselves understand different perspectives because there's a whole range of different investors out there. We need to have a whole range of different people that work for us to bring to the fore those kind of perspectives.